Hi, welcome to Traveling with Chris and Wendy, and what we're going to address today is eating in the main dining room. We've been on a few cruises now and we've kind of gotten used to it, so we forgot how it can be a little bit confusing or just a little bit concerning at first until we were cruising recently with a new cruiser and they were like, well, so what does this all do? How does it work? So we're just going to go through a few steps in the process of getting reservations, dining times, what the menu looks like, etc. So first off, you're either going to get reservations for a specific dining time. They're very set. The early is 5 o'clock. Often they have a middle one, which would be ballpark of 7, and then they'll have a late one sometime around 8 or 8:30. That depends on the ship, so that's going to vary. But you'll have to make that reservation ahead of time because they fill up fairly quickly. We get last minute cruises and often the 5 o'clock dining slot is already full and they only have the later dining time. So if you do run into that situation where you try to book ahead of time and they say it's full and you really do want a dining time that they said wasn't available, the first thing you're going to have to do is go talk to the maitre d'. Now, as you enter into the dining room, there's going to be at least two levels, possibly 3. And they'll have a podium on each level, but there may or may not be somebody standing there. So if you go into a dining area and there's no one standing there, it's on another level. At the very beginning of the cruise, you do this. So you walk in, let's say it's 1 or 2 o'clock on embarkation day, and you go in there and there might be a line. You just wait in the line. It goes relatively quickly. Hopefully it's not too long. And then you speak to the maitre d' and say, I would like this dining time, and either they'll have it available or they won't. Now, what will make it more likely to have it available is if you tell them you're willing to sit with other couples or other individuals. We have opted for this, and it's been quite positive. We've actually made some very nice friends in doing so. So, the dining times, typically around 5, and then later on in the evening. And it varies per cruise, so you'll want to verify that, but it's typically around 6:30 or 8 o'clock for the other dining times. Another option is what they call my time dining, which is just flexible dining. That on this most recent ship and typically doesn't start till between 6:30 and 7. On the last ship, we were on the Vision, it started at 6:45. What you then do is on the first night, you'll have to wait a little bit, but after that, it typically slows down a little bit. Here's what we did. We were willing to sit with other people. We went in at 6:50 or so. We got sat with another couple. And then the following night, it was a third couple, and we ended up going there every single night at about 6:50. It ended up being very positive and ended up being essentially our reservation time because we told the maitre d', he said, we can hold that table for you. So we just all came there at 6:50 and ate in that particular spot. And we ended up having a great time with some very nice folks. All right, so other information. Where is the dining room? As I mentioned, there's usually a couple levels, sometimes 3. Every ship we've been on, it's in the back of the ship, the aft as they call it. And it's been on, if it's 3 levels, it's been on 3, 4, and 5. If it's 2 levels, it's been on 4 and 5. Smaller ships are typically 2 levels, larger ships are typically 3. And they put the my time dining often on the lowest level. And it's kind of seen as more statusy the higher up you go. Although there's different ways to look at that. As Wendy mentioned to me earlier, we were talking about this, and she said, whenever they do like the little thank you shows where they come out and do their little stuff and you wave your napkin, it's often on the main dining level at the lowest level, deck 4 on the smaller ships, deck 3 on the larger ships. And so it's kind of fun if that's something you enjoy. All right, so now you know when you'll be dining and you know where you'll be dining. Well, what will it entail? So first off, dress code. There's 2 ways to look at this. They have something that we often call formal night, but what they refer to as dress your best. And I like that term because dress your best just means, hey, please dress up. And on those nights, and it's typically about every 4th night, maybe every 5th night, depending on if you have a short cruise, it'll be 1 night. If it's a 7-day cruise, you typically have 2, I think. And if it's longer, you might have 2 or 3. All right. So you can dress up, you can wear a collared shirt, you can wear a coat and tie, you can wear anything you'd like. Some people even dress up in tuxedos. Here's the real situation though. There is no dress code. No dress code on the ship. I've never heard of, and I've looked into it, a person being rejected from the dining room based on the, based on the fact that they don't have the correct attire on. Now, I tend to try to be more respectful on dress your best night, and we tend to dress up a little bit, but there's no official dress code. Other ships, like we're going to try Cunard soon, I hear that that's different, and so we'll adhere to that. But you can wear whatever you want. Typically,
on Royal ships.
On Royal, typically people wear slacks and or jeans and a t-shirt or a button-up on normal nights. And on Dress Your Best, you can still wear that, and no one will say a word to you.
And they obviously don't want you to come in a bathing suit or a cover-up.
Yeah.
You have to have on regular.
Yeah, they will
clothes.
say no bare feet, no wetsuits, things of that nature. We've never done anything like that, though. All right, so menu. When you get there, they will come along and they'll give you a menu for each night, and it'll have a title at the top of it. It might say the French night, or British, or a Royal night, and it's just typical Royal favorites. There's a welcome menu, and there's a, what's the last night? Do you remember what that's called? It was like Bon Voyage menu, something like that. And there'll be several sections to the menu. At the very top, they'll list, hey, it's French night, or tribute to Italy, or whatever they call it. Then they'll list a few premium beverages. There'll be a drink that they suggest, although you can get any drink, and they'll have a wine they suggest, although you can get any wine, and they'll have like a non-alcoholic beverage, such as a Shirley Temple type thing. And those will typically cost between like $6 and $12, although again, you can order anything you like as if it were a bar. Next, from there, they will have the appetizer. Well, the first thing they'll list is their suggestions. I don't worry about their suggestions. I like what I like. I know how to read a menu, so if it sounds good to me, I order it. And I've never found their suggestions to be particularly good or bad. They just are random to me. So underneath the suggestions, they'll have the appetizers. Appetizers vary from 1 or 2 salads, typically 1 soup. French onion soup's very common. And then they'll have like shrimp cocktail and a few other things. And we'll go into details on other nights what these actual menus are and what's on there. The appetizers are not particularly large though. So if you really like something, like if you like shrimp cocktail, get 2 of them, get 3 of them. I often think of this afterwards when they're bringing my main dish out, and I go, gosh, I should have gotten some of the more of the coconut shrimp because it's so good. So you can get more. I often get 2 or 3 appetizers because again, they're not particularly large. If I were to assemble my own appetizer, like if you go to Applebee's and get an appetizer, that would be the equivalent calories of probably 5 of these appetizers, if not more. So go ahead and get whatever you think you'd like. They don't cost anything. Next is the main dish selection. And there'll be some repeats on there. They often have a sirloin steak. They often have like grilled chicken and things of that nature. But it'll be geared towards whatever that night is. Italian night will be more Italian, obviously. They almost always have something that's Indian in nature, and I think that's partly because people from that part of Asia, and also the British and Australians and South Africans who often cruise tend to like the Indian food. Those are all free, and you can get as many as you like. So if you really like something such as the prime rib, you may get 2 of them. Or like if they have lobster night, which they'll typically do once a cruise sometimes, and they have prime rib on the same night, I'm going to get both of them because I like them both.
They also usually have a vegetarian option.
Yes, they have and it's often vegan. I think they just almost flat out skip the vegetarian because they're like, if we're going to go vegetarian, might as well make it vegan. Now, Italian night varies on that because there's a lot of the cheese. But yes, they'll have a variety of those types of suggestions or selections. Right under that, they'll have the premium options. And the premium options on Royal are always the following 3. Filet mignon, lobster tail, or filet and lobster tail. And they're typically around $16, $17 each, or $35 for both, or $36 for both, something along that line. And then under that will be the desserts. The desserts will be various things. They'll always have ice cream. They have a sugar-free option, which I'm always nervous about that because they brought me ice cream before that I'm like, this doesn't taste sugar-free, but maybe it was. They will virtually always have a sugar-free option for the standard dessert. It might be a chocolate cappuccino cake that's no sugar. It's not sugar-free. It's no sugar added. And they'll often have a gluten-free option. But once again, make sure that you take a look at those, and you can get whatever you want. And you want to get 3 or 4 desserts, or 2. One of them looks really good. Get 2 or 3 of them. Did you have anything in particular you wanted to add?
Another thing they have In the dessert category is the artisan tray.
Oh yeah, they have like a cheese, nuts, and a little bit of like fig chutney, I think, or fig paste. And it's tasty. Give it a try if you want something that's not particularly sweet, or if you don't like to add sugar to things. But overall, it's typically a very pleasant dining experience. I like it. Oh, with respect to service. One of the things that will happen while you're there is they will start talking to you at some time throughout the cruise about the ratings. And what they're going to do is mention that, hey, we try to get a 10 out of 10 on that. Here's how I handle it. And I'd be interested in the comments how some of you handle this. What I say to them is, because the services, they've always worked very hard to give good service. I'm like, I know you try to give the best service possible. I commit to you the following. I will give you a 10 out of 10, and if there's any problems, I'll let you know so that you can fix them. And because that's what they'll suggest. If there's any problems, let us know. Me personally, I also add, please don't bring this up every night, because it does get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to hear about the ratings anymore. You're doing a good job. I'm going to give you the 10 out of 10. If there's an issue, I'll let you know that you can, so you can fix it. But we've always had great service, and we've always liked our servers, and we've always subsequently given them 10s because they work very hard to earn them, and we think they deserve them. So it's always been a fun experience, and dining is a big part of it. It's kind of the anchor for your night. And we typically do 5 o'clock, so we have the whole evening free. This recent time, it was 6:45, but that worked out fine for doing the 9 o'clock shows or the later shows. And so overall, we enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was actually pretty nice because I feel like the later shows weren't as crowded as the earlier shows, so it worked out
Agreed.
nicely.
And depending on the ship, sometimes front row is easy to get, or a good seat is easy to get, and sometimes it's a little tougher. But overall, we've enjoyed it, and we've enjoyed telling you this. And if you have thoughts about this, feel free to jump into the comments and ask questions or give your own suggestions. And if you like the videos, please like and subscribe. And overall, we enjoy doing this for you. So thank you very much.